to the happy side, and then he rings the doorbell again, and then then he turns his face back, and he's like, Jack! I forget what he says, but he said something like, Jack, I have the new plans for Halloween. And then after that happened, that's basically what I wanted to share with you for that scene.
Okay, so that's a good scene because that's when... And what is Jack doing at that time? Why is he not home?
He's walking out for miles and miles.
Well, no, isn't this the part where Jack was experimenting with all the things?
No, that was before. That was after.
Oh, okay. So
he went to the door first, and then he's like, then he asked for all the jobs, and then before he asked for all the jobs, that's when he does the experiment, and then he does all the jobs.
Yeah, so those are some cool experiments. Like he takes like a candy cane, he puts it in like hot water or something like that,
and then
he pulls it out. There's no more red stripes, and it's flimsy. What are some of the other experiments? Go ahead.
So another one of the experiments was he took one of the ornaments, he crushed it, and then he put it into a bottle, and there was an interesting reaction. It was like glowing green.
Right, and he doesn't know what that means. Right, he goes, but what does it mean?
Yes, that is what he went with.
Yeah. So, but he did a couple different experiments with different Christmassy items, things that would be. Anyone who's ever celebrated Christmas would understand, or even people who haven't would really understand them, and understand that that's a Christmas ornament or that's a candy cane, or he did some things with trees. And it was cool, the one scene where Sally picks up the one flower and goes to pull the petals, and it turns into, like you said it, Charlie Brown's. It looks like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree, and then it sets on fire, and that's how she knows things are going to be bad. That's really how she knows.
It's that theory or the other theory. Who knows?
But that's how she kind of figures out things are not going to go well because when she touches a Christmas tree, it goes up in flames.
Hey, we should ask Disney how did she know that his Christmas would be a bad idea?
Yeah, we should. We'll write them a letter. Or we'll ask them when we go to Disney next time. So that about sums up the movie pretty well, right? Was there anything else you want to talk about with the movie?
I want to talk about how you liked the movie and what was your favorite part of the movie.
So I really enjoy a lot of the songs, like This Is Halloween and What Is This is a really good song. I really like the Oogie Boogie Man song. When we first meet Oogie Boogie, it's kind of like got a jazzish, popish kind of Oogie Boogie Man kind of sound to it. And really, I like the whole premise of the movie. I like the idea that one Halloween is trying to, the main leader of Halloween, Jack, is trying to take over another holiday, but that it's just not right, that all the holidays kind of have their own importance. That's how I see the movie, that just because Jack doesn't see it doesn't mean that Halloween being Halloween isn't important. It doesn't make Jack any less important than Santa Claus is. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. And can you explain to the people that haven't watched Nightmare Before Christmas what the songs sound like?
Well, I mean, everyone's probably heard it if they've gone around to any kind of Halloween thing, but the This Is Halloween, This Is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Everyone knows that song, right? What Is This is like a kind of upbeat kind of song that plays.
What is this? What is this?
Yeah, so it's like it's upbeatish while he's doing the experiments, and then like I said, the Oogie Boogie Man's kind of like the Oogie Boogie Man. Yeah, it's got kind of jazz tones in the background. But yeah, so the music in the movie is phenomenal. Tim Burton does a great job of putting this whole thing together, and I'm sorry I don't know who actually did the score for the movie, but they did a phenomenal job in matching that to what we're seeing on TV. It was definitely different for a Disney animation. It was kind of like a claymation more than like hand-drawn art, you would think. And we didn't realize this movie came out as early as 1993. Like, we were talking about it in the car before we watched it, and we didn't know it was that long ago that this movie came out, but way before you were born.
Yep, I was born 2000, 2010.
2000, 2010?
Or I can just say 2010 or 2010.
But yeah, so but I think the movie still is pretty good. It's still got great animation. It definitely holds fans. So, all right. Usually I go over this in the front, but I didn't, so let's do it now. What is your experience with Disney?
What is my experience with
like going
Disney?
to the parks, going to the cruise, stuff like that?
Like when do I go or...
Do you like it? Have you gone a few times at least?
I've gone a lot of times on the cruise. I'm gold now.
Our listeners, most of our listeners probably don't even know what that means, but that's okay. So did you ever get to meet Jack and Sally?
Yes.
Where?
On the cruise once. Disney Magic?
Twice, actually, you met them.
Really? I thought it was once.
No, we've met them twice, and we met them once. The one time we met them was right after they played the show in the main theater.
What I remember.
Yeah, and they came. That was cool. Do you remember what happens at the very end of the movie?
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell the listener.
So at the end of the movie, well, I think because Santa says Happy Halloween to Jack. Jack says Merry Christmas to Santa. Sally wanders off.
No, I mean on the cruise. What happens when the movie ends?
Oh, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like in the movie.
No, okay, but you can tell. Yeah, go ahead, tell the listener what the last scene is. Sally wanders off.
Sally wanders off, and I think I remember, but Jack follows her, and then I forget. You can read off from there.
All right, so basically they learned their lesson and that the holidays should stay separate. But what happened on the cruise as the movie ended? Do you remember?
No, sorry, I forgot.
Okay, he was a little young when this happened, but at the end of the movie, Jack and Sally actually come up out of the stage, and they do the "This is Halloween" walking out of the theater. And as they leave the theater, anyone who leaves the theater first, first come, first served, but anyone leaving the theater will actually be in line to meet Jack and Sally right at the Walt Disney Theater on the Disney Magic.
Which is very cool that they do that, because it definitely made my heart beat.
Yeah. And you've done Halloween on the High Seas, which had this movie, right?
Yes.
You've also done the Halloween party at Magic Kingdom. Is there anything you'd like to tell the listeners about that you liked? At
Magic Kingdom, I think I remember, but they played a bunch of songs, and then I think one of them was the Oogie Boogie Man, and then they do the Efflump movie.
Yeah, and they put all the images on the castle, right?
Yeah, that was definitely pretty cool to watch.
You see Heffalumps, you see Jack Skellington, you see the Oogie Boogie Man, you see Sally. You see a bunch of other things that are just Halloween related, like pumpkins and spiders and stuff like that. And then, do you want to tell the people how the parade is for Halloween? Do you remember the beginning of the parade? So in the beginning of the parade, the Headless Horseman actually comes out first.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay. So he comes out first, way ahead of the parade. And then you end up having a Halloween-based parade for the Halloween party, which is a separate ticketed item. You also, all around the park, and this is all day, not just for the Halloween party, but you get the lights actually have glowing Mickey pumpkins on them.
Boo to you and you and you and you and you and you. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, so that's the main song for the parade is Boo to You, because it's called the Boo to You Parade. And it's one of the most fun songs you can do. And there's like a giant, in the beginning, there's like almost like a giant drum with it written on it, Boo to You, facing forward so that as it comes, you can see it. And it has all the characters dressed up in costume. And you also get that on the cruise if you do the cruise Halloween on the High Seas. But one of Michael's and I, he was young and he's not remembering, but one of his favorite things was you actually got to trick or treat in Disney World.
No, I remember that. I remember.
Yeah. So tell them how much candy you got. You and Bevy ended up with.
We had a lot of candy. 4 bags of candy.
Yeah, and that was like in an hour of trick or treating, and that was after we got to meet the 7 dwarfs, which only happens at 2 times. You can only meet the 7 dwarfs at Christmas parties or at Halloween parties together. So, like, you can meet different dwarfs at sometimes. They're not really easy to find, but you can only meet all 7 together at the Halloween or Christmas party. So, you have any final thoughts on this movie before we wrap up here?
Like what thoughts? Like random thoughts about the movie?
Yeah, anything you want to say about the movie we didn't talk about? Like, is there anything you want to say now? Just your last thoughts about the movie. Like, did you like it? Did you love it? Would you watch it again?
I would definitely watch it again. And I just want to point out, if you've seen the movie, then you would know what I'm talking about again. So when Jack is singing the What's This song, and you see the pies, and then he drops down and lands on the carousel, I wonder why this doesn't happen, but he doesn't just shatter his bones. He's a skeleton. It should. I mean, if I were a skeleton, that would probably shake my bones.
Okay. So before we wrap up, just let's get a quick review. We'll do. How many glowing pumpkins do you give this movie?
Five out of glowing pumpkins.
5 glowing pumpkins?
5 out of 5 glowing.
Yeah, I would give it 5 out of 5 glowing pumpkins too. So that about wraps this up. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. It was a short one, but it was informative, and it's Michael's first time being on podcast. So we got that ahead of the way. Now he'll become a regular podcaster, and thank you for listening. Michael, you want to say goodbye to the listeners?
Bye, and have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Before we go, we have a great offer for you. Cuts by Magic is offering all our listeners a 10% discount on their entire order. No matter what they order, their entire order gets 10% off with code Nightmare Before Christmas. Contact Cuts by Magic by searching Facebook for Cuts by Magic. CUTS space BY space MAGIC. Message the page and tell them Nightmare Before Christmas, and you will receive a 10% discount. Please join us on our Facebook page, UFP Earth, where we will be holding polls for upcoming discussions to be hosted here on the podcast. So if you'd like to contact me, you can find me either here on this network with this show. You can also find me on Trek FM, where I will be doing The Edge. Warp 5 is pretty much wrapped up now. We have 2 more episodes. So you can hear me on Warp 5 for 2 more episodes. You can hear me on The Edge for a little bit longer, too. And you can find me on Twitter at MagicDrop5. That's no spaces, and the 5 is a digit. And as always, you can just respond to this, to the post for this on UFP Earth Facebook page, and I will respond back to you. So please go to iTunes and leave us a star rating and written review that will help others find this podcast. And let us know what you want more of and what you want less of. And at this time, we would like to thank all of our executive producers who make this all possible. Brandon-Shea, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, Tony Robinson. Thank you very much for your continued support of the podcast. Keep those mouse ears open for more Mickey's Marvels. And besides...
And who wouldn't want to be a kid again?
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.